Welcome, friends, it is I, LostScarf, and it's time for the Short Smite Beginner Guide to Chronos. That's right, the God of Time is here, and he's gonna wreck some things pretty hard here. He's a god that's capable of being a really good basic attack god and a really good mage, and you can do a hybrid of both and do very well with him. So what's gonna happen here is always, this is a beginner guide. There's information here that experts and advanced players might know. For the most part, they probably know it all, but if there's anything they might not know, good for them. But for beginners, this is for you. This is for you to understand the god, get to play this god. Like, you want to play him now after this guide is the goal here. So hopefully I give you enough information. I'm going to give you his abilities, class and roles, some tips and combos with him, some purchase ideas with him, and of course a conclusion. And again, the idea is to get you comfortable with the god so you can play him, and then just have a lot of fun, and then have a good idea how Chronos works. The more people who know how to play gods and have fun in the game, the better it is for everybody. So let's get going. Chronos' abilities. First up is his passive, Wheel of Time. Now this is affected by his Accelerate ability, which will go through one of the 4 passives he has. The first one is, he heals for 1.5% of his HP per second during Accelerate. Since Accelerate is 7 seconds, that means you're going to heal for 10.5% of your HP. That's not bad there. Second one is, 100% of your mana is refunded on abilities for those 7 seconds, so it just lets you clear for a cheaper cost. Third one is, plus 20% magical power. Just lets you hit even harder with your abilities. And lastly is, plus 35% magical power contribution to basic attack. So if you're going for basic attack, Chronos, all the mage items you got makes you hit even harder, and it can really be effective. Now your first ability is Time Rift. This is a delayed small AoE attack that deals damage. It can do a lot of damage, it can be really nice. Second ability, Accelerate. This activates a passive. It also gives you movement and attack speed buffs for 7 seconds, allows you to glide around and just beat people up. Third ability is Time Stop. Now this is a slow skill shot that will deal damage twice. It hits them once, and the second time, it stuns anyone who would hit in the first place, so it's pretty good there. And lastly is his ultimate Rewind. What happens is he goes back in time to 8 seconds ago, and regains any mana and HP lost between 8 seconds ago and now. It also resets cooldowns. You have to be mindful of where you are on the map as well, so you don't go into a bad spot if you're running from a bad spot into another bad spot. Class and roles. So Chronos is a mage, so he's capable of a lot of damage in a short period of time, and he usually has a form of CC. In this case, his CC would be Time Stop, since he can just stun people with it, and he has really good burst out of his abilities and basic attacks. The thing about him, though, is because his stun pierces targets, he can stun an entire team, cause a lot of trouble for them, and then cause even more trouble if they try to kill him, because he can just rewind time. Especially if he's got a team around him, it's really hard to take him out. Now for roles, for beginners, I say solo. It's just a safe spot to put him. He doesn't necessarily need blue buff that much because of Accelerate 2, which allows him to efficiently farm up the lane and clear it out. But it is still a good thing to have, especially if you get aggressed a bit too much. Of course, Chronos has a really good burst, because he can stop time on an enemy god and minion line and hit them with Time Rift to cause even more trouble. And then later on, if he's built, depending on abilities or basic attacks or both, he could just be scary in so many ways in the solo lane. It's amazing. Then in teamfights, he's just wrecking the ways I've mentioned before. Something to note, if you go for all-in on basic attacks though, when you go Accelerate forward, he kills towers in seconds. Now for advanced, I say mid for sure. If you can solo, you can usually do mid, but it's a bit harder because he doesn't have the blue buff to fall back on, and also he's got to control the mid camps as best he can, which can be very taxing on his mana pool. ADC as well is a good spot for Chronos. His clear is pretty good there, and he becomes deadly eventually. His problem is his start. At the start of the game, he's not that great, but after he starts getting built, he shreds towers and gods very quickly, which makes him scary as heck. Tips and combos. And the first tips have to do with passive. First one has to do with passive 1. So, if you have mana to spare, you don't expect to fight, and you're kind of beat up, you could use the first passive to heal up. 10.5% heal is really good. Second passive is really good for lane clearing. It's just very mana efficient, so you want to use that ability before clearing the lane. Third passive, magical power passive, is just great for harassment and kill securing, and of course, the fourth passive, basic attack passive, is just really good for killing gods and towers. You shred towers really bad if you use the fourth passive. Fifth tip has to do with stop time. It applies 2 ticks of damage, which is great for proc items, keep that in mind. And lastly, plan out your movements so that you're safe and have a good amount of HP when you rewind. The idea here is just keep in mind how much HP you got. Like when you lose a big chunk of HP, think of how much time you've got left before you can use rewind to get back to that big chunk of HP again. And also just where you were, because if you stay in a fight and you have low HP, and then you use rewind to get out of a bad situation, you're still going to have low HP, which means you can still get picked off even if you get into a better spot. Now for combos, there's 2 combos. It's 2-3-1 basic attacks and 3-1-2 basic attacks. So basically, do you accelerate then do damage, or do you do damage then accelerate? So the first combo is a caster combo. What happens here is you accelerate for refund or power, then you hit with your damaging abilities and you basic attack them to death. The other way is, you use your damaging abilities first to set them up, usually to slow them down into a bad spot, weaken their HP, maybe even clear a lane so that's only them there, not minions. Then you accelerate for your basic attacks to hit them really hard and kill them that way. Purchases for Chronos. Now there's 2 or 3 ways you can build Chronos. That is either go caster, basic attack, or a hybrid of both, depending on which one you really favor, is how far you build towards one or the other. But I feel like basic attack Chronos is just the best way to go because it shreds towers. So you want to get items that are enhanced by his basic attack potential, and then get pen and power to increase that potential. It makes him a bit of a caster threat, but it makes his basic attacks even more powerful because of the 4th passive. That's really what I feel works there. Now for actives, beads are great if you get put in a bad spot so you can get out of it and then rewind into a better spot. Then there's Aegis, which you can also use if you get into a bad position after rewinding. And then there's Combat Blink, which could just make you extremely annoying. You rewind out of a bad spot, Combat Blink out, and that'd be really good. In conclusion, a strong Chronos is a very scary god to deal with because he's just really hard to lock down and he's capable of doing a lot of damage to gods and to towers. What you want to practice with him is landing your stun shots, landing your AoE after the stun shots, timing your accelerates, landing those basic attacks, and knowing when to rewind. It's a lot of things to know, but if you can master all 5 of those things, you are going to wreck people really bad. He does start out a bit slow, but eventually he, like time, catches up with everyone. So that right there is the guide for Chronos right there. Oh man, he is just such a fun god to play. And coming up next is going to be Cupid. That cute little guy wrecks people pretty bad, and we're going to display that right there for you all to see. As always, these guides are for you to get a good understanding of a god so you can be comfortable playing them, and also be comfortable having an idea how they work, so if you fight them, you have some idea what to do. The more knowledge everyone has in the game, the better it is for everyone, because then you just know more, and you play better. So there you go. That right there is the guide. I had fun making it. Hope you had fun watching it. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.